All right, you guys, everybody, thanks for being here tonight. It's Monday night, March 6th, 2023. You're here at the Poolesville Town Commissioners meeting. Thanks to everybody that's in the audience, out there in TV land, and town staff that's here, starting with Kathy Bupp's here. Wow, that feels weird to talk about that. Kathy Bupp is here, our town events coordinator, as well as John Strong, town engineer, Wade Yost, town manager, Niles, our town assistant manager. I'll get to pronounce your last name right one of these days. All of the commissioners are here tonight, and we're glad you're here as well. So before we get started, Jeff, if you don't mind, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is this like a green screen behind me where I'll be like doing the weather? You know, I'll be like, and the front's gonna pass? No, okay. I do that all the time, Link, that's a problem. Okay, guys, thanks to everybody for being here. Jeff, thanks for leading us. All the commissioners, again, once again, appreciate you being here. Go straight to announcements, and who wants to start? Usually I guess wrong, who's ready?
I am.
Okay, good man.
I have just a few things. And I believe this first one comes from the Historic Medley District. There will be a lecture on African American schools on Wednesday, March 15th at 7 o'clock at the Old Town Hall Bank Museum. And you have to register on Eventbrite. The event is free, but there's limited space. So you can go to eventbrite.com. I tried this out ahead of time. And you can search for Montgomery County. Then there'll be a list of events there. Click on African American Schools of Western Montgomery County to register. That's one thing. A couple of other things here. From our good friends at the Poolesville Seniors. So there is a movie night, and it's with Tom Hanks, not in person, but on the movies. A Man Called Otto, that's on March the 24th at 7 p.m. And you can go on the Poolesville Seniors website and register for that. Also, March is Women's History Month. So the National Women's History Allegiance designates a yearly theme. And the theme for 2023 is celebrating women who tell our stories. Another thing is, it's time to change your clocks. Oh my goodness. So if you live in Arizona and Hawaii, you can disregard. Otherwise, you have to change your clocks. I forgot what the date is. Oh, I don't know what date. Forget that. There's also a mural contest. If you know a young artist in the 6th through 12th grade, attending Poolesville High School or John Poole Middle School, or living in their attendance areas, be sure to let them know about the Poolesville Mural Contest. And again, you can go on to the Poolesville Seniors.org website and register for that. I believe that's all for that one. Okay, well, I got to follow up about that. There's also, Montgomery County has produced their pedestrian plan. And Wade, I sent this to you. I sent this to you and also to the Parks Board for consideration regarding the possibility of obtaining some grants for improving our pedestrian safety. And then lastly, this came to the chief at the fire station, so I'm sharing it. There will be MCFRS, that's Montgomery County Fire Rescue Services, has been notified that West Willard Road will be resurfaced. I thought that was going to take place after the crossfines. Anyway, in the near future. More details will emerge and they'll be passed on. I think that is it. Yes, that's it. Thank you, Jim.
Wait, about the resurfacing, give us the parameters of that. We know about it.
Sure, it's going to be from Westerly Road. They're going to replace the culvert that's underneath of the West Willard at Westerly Road, and then from there down to Crossfines. We won't, since it's our road, they wanted us to do a cost share with it. John actually met out there with them, and we said that we didn't want to pave our section until after the school was done.
Sure.
But they had the funds. They said, tell you what, we'll go ahead and just do it on our dime right now from Westerly Road out to Crossfines. So we get some of it done for free.
Great, and then we can redo it once the, no. But anyway, that's good to hear. And I'm glad if they got the money and they want to spend it here in Poolesville, we're happy with that. So, and it's another great thing about having Crossvines is we actually got the road repaved. So, good news. Okay, anything else, Jeff?
I do want to follow up with Wade maybe later in the meeting regarding outdoor AEDs. Or maybe that's a topic for Niles at the Parks meeting.
So for the parks, we'll talk about that a little bit, but we've been in contact with a foundation that does that type of stuff and has some grant opportunities, then also with the AARP grant that we're working on, that's one of the things that we're going to put into that application as well. So we're sort of progressing that way.
Martin, what do you got for us announcement-wise? Nothing from Martin for announcements. Sarah? Ed?
Sure, a couple of announcements. One, it's the Link had actually put something out in Chuck Copeland, and this is just on March 18th. There'll be a part 2 of going up to the graveyard over in Martinsburg. We had a lot of volunteers from Poolesville went up there to help clean the graveyard there. As African Americans that are there in Martinsburg. There's going to be another team that will go up there on March 18th. You can get in touch with Chuck Copeland, Kenny Scholes, or Link Hoeing to learn more about participating in that. I know my son and I, we did it about 2 weeks ago, and so they're going to do it again on March 18th. Excellent. And Link, what time is it going to start, you know? 9 o'clock.
It's the same day they're doing the tours there. Not there.
Yeah. So that's one thing. And later on that evening, I also believe is later on that day, there is a fundraiser for the post-prom at Locals. So that's something just to be aware of. Another thing that, and I'm going to put on our agenda for our next meeting, I had met with Wamco and Story Tapestries. These are 2 nonprofits out here in Poolesville. And we talked about all of the different nonprofits that are located in Poolesville and having a way to bring them together to get to know each other. So I'm going to put it on the agenda for further conversation, but where we could work with them and do a meet with the nonprofits of Poolesville to do a meet and greet, and so that they can get to know each other and then look at what can come out of that, where we could set up something. And this is where I'll probably reach out to Wade, to you, and maybe work with Kathy to look at ways to connect the community to the nonprofits that are here, because there are over 20 different organizations, and there are a lot of folks who don't know each other, and then a lot of community members who don't know that these nonprofits exist. And so it's just a great way to bring everyone together. But I'll like to put that on the agenda for our next meeting, and then we'll see what comes out of that, and I'll throw a proposal out for that. Other than that, that's it.
That's an awesome idea, Ed. So, and then basically you're just trying to bring all the nonprofits and these service providers together, see where there's overlap, see who can help each other, raise awareness. Awesome.
Thanks, Jim. I forgot 2 important things. So we provided CPR training for the Poolesville seniors again this past Friday it was. And also the Upper Montgomery County Volunteer Fire Department will be offering CPR training. I think there's 3 or 4 dates in April. They're all Saturday mornings, I believe. So please watch for that on Facebook, community Facebook, Poolesville Community Facebook page. And then most importantly, the most important thing of all, bingo. Bingo at the fire station on March the 10th. And the feedback that we got from last bingo was get there early, because all this, all the seating was taken up even before the bingo began. So if you want to play bingo on March the 10th at the fire station, get there early. Thank you.
That may be a hint to us to look at what other social events we can bring into Poolesville.
Yes.
Not to take away from bingo, but
Well, we did actually,
need.
just to that point, which we'll circulate it, we asked Niles to put together a list of all of our activities that we do in town with kind of a subset on the, not just the town events, but what do other groups do and what days are they doing them. And the calendar is remarkably full. So, I mean, there's always room for more, obviously, but, and we'll circulate that. And we're going to work with Montgomery County Tourism and those folks to try and let it be known. You know, once again, the goal is to get all the people to come to Poolesville, spend their money, go home, and then we get to enjoy the amenities that they've helped provide. So life is good. That's our goal. I probably wasn't supposed to say that in public, but anyway, that's what we're looking for. All right, so thanks for those announcements. I'm going to slide right into our announcements, and mine are twofold. One is that we haven't had a chance to really brief the Fair Access Committee yet beyond the emails that have gone back and forth a little bit about the meeting that Link and I had with the county, state, DOT, our elected officials, talking about White's Ferry again today. It was our time for our every 3 or 4 week update, or as much as we can twist our arms to update with us and talk to us about it. It's still in the hands of our DOT right now. Sarah reminded me there was positives besides the fact that it's not running, and I don't know when it's going to be running. But the positives are that that the state is engaged. The new state transportation secretary was in the meeting himself. We had good participation. Still sounds like more of the same to me, that it's all going to be, like, yeah, we're working on that, and we're going to, we'll do a study, and let me reach out to the Virginia people. There was more clarity today, a little bit more about the parameters of how something could come together. But the fact is, we're, as we sit there and stay, and we listen to the people talk, we put it on mute, and then we express our anger to each other, and then we go off of mute, and then we talk again to, we have nice civil conversations with the elected officials and all the people that are on this meeting call. Give our elected officials credit. They do push hard. They're trying the best they can. Really, it just comes down to the county executive was slow to the uptick on this thing, and he told us he had a plan A, and we're kind of hearing that plan A might not be able to work, so we're wondering what his plan B is, and we're going to be pressing him on it. And likely we will be holding another rally that's a little more interesting, a little more in where we take the rally to them. So we'll be talking about that more as time goes on, and you'll be hearing the Fair Access Committee will put together their plans, and it should be interesting. But above all else, if the ferry just would start running again, we don't have to do all this crap. So it's just a huge waste of time. So, we've learned, again, we've had to reinforce some of the parameters of why the ferry's not working, and it's private parties that won't put together an agreement. So, that's it for White's Ferry. So, in the announcements, our top one is to talk a little bit about what we're doing in terms of the long-standing quest to get a grocery store to come to Poolesville. So you guys know, over the years, probably our biggest failing, my personal biggest failing, is the fact that we've talked to couple dozen different grocery stores over the years and have been turned down for various reasons. Make sure something goes into where the grocery store used to be, because no grocery store will move in there, and if a grocery store were to move in, then it would kill any other grocery store. Okay, Tractor Supply's in that grocery store spot now. Where's your grocery store? Well, how about the space next to the grocery store? We're really close to getting a grocery there. A lease was even signed, and then that blew apart. We've talked to everybody, all of the Harris Teeters, the junior Harris Teeters, potentially expanding over here at Dollar General. We'll take a grocery store. It really doesn't matter who's operating it, as long as they got some money and they're willing to stay financed and turn into something that's a long-standing grocery store here for Poolesville. It's been a sad story. So, a couple months ago, I was in Lovettsville. Again, a town that is half our population and half our medium and family income when it comes down to it. They draw from a more spread out area than us, and they're building this beautiful co-op right there, food co-op, essentially a grocery store that is self-designed for Lovettsville. So we started digging into it. And the Lovettsville co-op has been kind of partnered to some degree with the people that started the Frederick co-ops. Now there's two. And the model for it is an interesting one. So we've dug into this a little bit, and this is all volunteer time, trying to figure out the best how to do this, learn the players, figure out who's out there, how does the structure work that this can be something that can come into Poolesville and potentially be citizen-owned or shareholdered, and be a supplier that will bring groceries to Poolesville in the way that Poolesville people want it to come in. Whether it has a bigger organic section, whether it's more name brands, the size of it, does it have an eatery inside? Is there a place for when Dad is doing all the shopping that mom, doing all the shopping with the kids. Mom can have a cup of coffee while dad's out doing his thing. You know, those are the things that these co-ops look at, and they're tailored specifically to individual areas. So these are the things that we've learned. I'm lucky that in our audience today are two good friends that are here, Nathan and Jennifer Lloyd, that are not recently to Poolsville. They're related to Dr. What's her last name again? Robin Mempison. They're here. They run a very successful business in Africa, and as Nathan was explaining it to me the other day, are basically by what time in the morning are they done? Yeah, our time. Yeah. So business is done. So luckily we happen to have a couple of food experts and food movement experts that are in our community that are interested in helping. Again, not one person's getting a paycheck from this. This is all about trying to figure out how we can make this work. They operate their business over there. I knew we had something good going on when they were very, very smart about how things work. And then on top of it, they could meet anytime after 9 a.m. And we're wide open. Tell me the time. Lunch, dinner, morning. That's work. We can do that. So the link to some degree, but Nathan and Jennifer have given us their time and their efforts so far, and their expertise, and they're learning more about how to do co-ops. That's all we are right now, is still learning. Eventually, if we decided that this is something that we wanted to explore in the future, there's going to be an initial money obligation of something like $7,500 for somebody that does a market-specific co-op study and has done the same market-specific co-op study, and I've seen it, it's extensive for individual areas. That's not where we are right now. We don't know we're there yet. But I wanted to give a chance to have Nathan and Jennifer come up. And come on up, guys, take some seats up there, introduce yourselves. And, I always like it when I tell other people to keep things brief and then I go on forever. So, yeah, run right there. You're fine. Sit down. Yeah, or stand up. It's either way is fine. You're good. Yeah. There you go.
So face you guys.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. Good evening again. My name is Nathan Lloyd. My lovely wife, Jennifer Lloyd. We do have our business back in Kenya. We have an avocado exporting company. So we have a little bit of we have what we call not co-ops, but circles, which are a group of farmers. We have about slightly more than 2,000 farmers. Kenya is the 7th largest exporter out of avocados in the world. So we have now moved to Poolsville. We've also registered our company in Poolsville. We have a coming soon for 2024. We will be importing guacamole and be distributing into the U.S. So that's a little bit. So we took some small baby steps. We did attend about 2 weeks ago. We went to Lavitsville. We attended one of their chili functions where they had a chili contest. They tried to make us join. We said no, us we're stuck on Poolsville. So they so far have 992 members. We also went up to Frederick to kind of get a feel of what it's all about. They have slightly over 8,000 members. So they have been able to do it. Lavitsville has been able to do it, yet they're half our size. So it's a bit embarrassing in terms of we need to also do something. It was very environment friendly in terms of there's a small section for coffee, tea. Sometimes when my wife goes shopping, I prefer to have coffee and wait for her. So it was a really nice setup. Everything was in order, and I think it's something that we can do. There's a company that's able to do the market study and to be able to, that would be the prime one to make a decision. Should we proceed, yes or no, based on that market study. So it was just baby steps so far of what we have done. Yeah? Okay.
Can I ask a question?
We're just phase one. Phase one. Go ahead.
So just to be clear, are you thinking of opening a co-op in Poolsville?
The co-op in Poolsville would be together with with yourselves, with it will be
community.
Poolsville
I guess that's what a
Co-op,
co-op
yes.
is, right?
Yes.
Oh, super, okay. That's
And
another
then
thing I wanted to ask.
there's a membership fee, and we got a few details, so we're able to see kind of the fiber of what they did. And they are very supportive in terms of offering advice to be able to have this as a success also.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I guess my question was, what do you know so far about those of us who maybe aren't really familiar with how co-ops work? Just give us a general sense of how it's set up and how it
So far,
operates.
with what we have, again, with the baby steps like the one in Lovettsville,
Yeah,
the members pay a one-time fee of $200,
okay.
and then non-refundable, but it's a one-time fee, which I think for Poolsville, I think it should be a yearly fee if we do go ahead with that. Then you have some of the wealthier members have also invested funds, a loan into the co-op. I know they had raised so far $1.7 million. And the one in Frederick, which now they have two co-ops, when I asked the owner, the lady of the co-op, the main owner, she said, I asked her, what did you see, what were the mistakes that you saw?
Yeah,
Their mistake was only one thing. They wish they did not open two co-ops so close to next to each other. Nothing else. So member fee and the wealthier, there's I think from $2,500 up to $100,000 is what was being invested in the one in Lovettsville.
and is it run by is it a board of co-op members then,
Yes.
that then kind of
Yes.
oversee the
Yes.
decisions?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
And then with that, you get a qualified general manager, which takes through its necessary steps.
okay,
The one in Lovettsville is opening up in June 15th, 2023. So
okay.
there's a lot of excitement, and they have teamed up with the local farmers. They've teamed up with different organizations and groups,
Yeah,
with a lot of focus on organic and some clean conventional.
yeah. Fantastic. It's very exciting. So glad.
So we have to do this.
Maybe one more question, but maybe it's a question more for Jim. Would this be something that would be partially owned by the town of Poolsville? No. Or,
Yeah.
oh,
I mean, it's a clean question because there may be opportunities that they may need in order for the co-op to be successful, they may need some of our land. The co-op could potentially be built on town land. Our investment, as far as I'm concerned, and I think, of course, again, there's never even been talk about a paycheck. I know that one day somebody will want one. But what it comes down to is that, we're going to have significant organizational time tied up into it. Eventually, and I think, you tell me if I've got this wrong, but there's, you do hire a general manager, that the co-op hires a general manager, not the town. And we're going to have, it will really be resident member run. And our role will not be anything beyond doing all we can as a board and as a community to make it successful. Encourage membership. When there's a market study. Then again, we then talk about how if it's decided to go forward, what type of co-op it is. That we'll want our residents to take ownership and know that there's potentially going to be a store that's going to be built to their tastes and tailored to them. So we're going to expect response and patronage and people using it. So, the town itself, the only official money that could come from is the seed money to see, the study. And then there is a secondary investment of a consultant that takes, if you decide to go forward and, you have some big general decisions to make, what that next person does is take it to the next level, which is, what is that? That's the lady that we talked to?
They'll take it in terms of working with whoever's going to be like the project manager, to put this together in terms of the vision statement, the mission statement, and then they have a template where they're able to do the cash flows for 10 years, and they have a business proposal. Yes, and be able to constantly meet once every 3 weeks, and be able to exchange ideas. Since they have been very successful with what they are doing, the lady's called Sarah. Sarah, like yourself. So be able to, good name. So be able to work with them, and you're working with somebody who has experience.
On it, and said fill in the blanks. We've got a lot of stuff going on. So we would potentially fund the initial fee to get the market study done. That just help, that, the market study could reveal that it's just not the right place, and we're not gonna be able to make it work. Then our own, I'm not sure if we would elect our own mini board or how we would make that decision, but we would, there's a town investment already that's happening up front if that were to take place. I'm sure that money has also been privately funded as well by people. It doesn't have to be the town that comes up with it. Maybe there's an investor. Maybe there's an interested party like Nicholas Papadopoulos that would want it on his property. I don't know. So, just float it out there. So, but anyway, all this takes place over the course of the next few months as we go to more of their meetings, as we watch the co-ops and see how they work, as we all become smarter about it. The one takeaway is, and I appreciate this, and you guys really made a good point of this, the co-ops are all thoroughly invested in making sure that they all work. So it's not competition. It's let's all work together, and let's also figure out a way that, well, I can help you be successful, you can help me be successful. That's been the spirit of cooperation that we've had all the way through. If we didn't have that, it would not be encouraging, right? They've gone full bore from John, I'm not sure exactly what his role is, but he's battling cancer, and he has been just like devoted as much time as we can possibly have in just dumb question and answers that we're all trying to figure out, how to bring it together, so.
I mean, even with John, he showed us the numbers. I asked, can we take this, but he said it's confidential. We're seeing millions of dollars for Lovettsville in terms of their projected turnovers and what they're going to do. So it's something that they're very passionate about, and we would be passionate about it in terms also. The one they have done in Lovettsville, they've also gone very environment friendly. The solar panels, and the developer was able to put in, of course, wheelchair access, and they've been able to woo in very pharmaceuticals, some Indian stores from restaurants. So it became very environment friendly, with others now joining in the dream.
Very good.
Also, the size matters. One of the things they said is with whatever co-op will go, don't start and then after that realize you need to expand. What they've done is left extra room in case they need to expand. So they left that intentional. Always have extra room as opposed to stopping and saying, let's add this, let's add this.
You would be talking about, I hear you saying farmers and partnering with farmers, which I think is great. But you'd also have just regular old food that you would get at Harris Teeter or Trader Joe's. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Or the place would, yeah. Yeah, great, thank you.
You're talking about, we use the example of, organic, salt-free, sugar-free peanut butter versus Jif. There's probably going to be Jif on the shelf for Poolsville. We get it. But that's what we're going to be talking about. The market study is something that would help us, help. They're going to read us. They've done this. They've been through this rodeo before. They're going to figure it out. You can tell, yeah, right. Oh, you can tell I'm a Jif man.
Once, if you do give the approval for the market study, they'll take 3 weeks to provide the report, 3 to 4 weeks. But that will be the determination of will it be successful, yes or no. Yes. And everything else will feed off that. Yes.
So we're going to spend a little more time learning. And then likely we're going to come back to the commissioners and propose getting some funding so that we can take that next step. But that's still, we've got more meetings to go to. We've got more discussions, co-op, et cetera. I'm deeply indebted to you guys for stepping up to the plate. Jennifer hasn't said much, but she actually carries the flag on all this stuff and just tells us what to say so far. As I said, they've moved to Poolsville within the last year and been great community members. And love the fact, I love this time zone thing, so that's just really good. You guys can do what you can probably get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, but oh well. But we appreciate your volunteer efforts so far, and we will be your team behind it until we figure out what we're doing. So, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks,
Have a good
guys.
evening. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
There's something else.
All right, Commissioners, thanks for indulging me on that one. I really, really appreciate that. Yeah, it is. It is good stuff, and we got a good little starter team there, so.
Outside the box.
Well, it's been driven by failure.
As most successful.
That's right, that's right. So, that's all right. We gotta do what we gotta do. That's right. That's what we're doing. Okay, very good. So thank you, again, everybody, and I briefed these guys on this today, so they weren't completely surprised by all of it, but I don't know, did you get any more out of that than after we talked? Yeah, good. Yeah, I think so too. Okay, very good. So next up, you guys know that we're going to be talking trash. But before we get to talk trash, we get to have two of our great Poolsville residents come on in and talk to us about Sustainable Poolsville and talk about recycling, and the floor is all yours. Introduce yourselves and welcome aboard. Again.
Well, thank you, everyone. For the record, Don Street, Chairman of the Sustainable Poolsville Committee, and with me is Committee Member Soledad Aguilar. We know that you're just in the preliminary stages of looking at the proposals for the trash and recycling contract for the coming future. But we wanted to get our feelings out from the get-go, give you some food for thought to think of while you're looking at these proposals. We actually, Soledad's done a lot of detective work about recycling over the past several months, mostly because the question of where does the recycling stuff go has been asked on a number of social media outlets, and so we started digging into that and looking at, well, where exactly does this stuff go? I mean, everybody puts it into the big blue container, Bates comes around and collects it, and where does it go from there? So we found out some interesting information, and we wanted to present some of that to you all tonight to keep in mind while you're going forward. Just so you understand, the Sustainable Poolsville Committee is 100% in favor of dual cycle or dual stream recycling, getting away from single stream. And we have our reasons for that, and we'll be glad to answer any questions in that regard. And I'm going to turn it over to Soledad to let her run with it and show you what we have.
Can I ask a quick question? Are you going to talk about why you're in favor of dual stream?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, everyone, for having us here today. So I'm going to go a little bit fast to not take too much time, but we're very happy to stop in any specific point that you want to delve in further. So the larger picture, why is recycling important? I think everybody knows, but just pinpointing three main aspects that we wanted to highlight: the need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from wastes. Wastes are usually one of the highest components of greenhouse gas emissions for small cities like this one. It's usually waste and transport that constitute most of small cities' emissions. Ocean protection, which is in the news these days. A lot of the recycling that is not of good quality ends up in the ocean, and that is a fact that is well documented, because the recycling businesses cannot handle if it's not good quality, and they just end up disappearing and end up in the oceans. So ocean protection is another big issue. And well, in terms of jobs, it does create jobs. In Maryland, 730 direct jobs are related to recycling, so just to have a number. Going to your question, Jeff, why we seek dual versus single stream recycling. The main reason is dual stream recycling guarantees better quality of the recycling. It's less contamination. Basically, when you mix a cardboard with something that is wet, the cardboard gets wet and it's not recyclable anymore. So that's the reason why Montgomery County's dual stream recycling program, which is the main program for the county, only accepts dual stream materials. They do not accept single streams. That means bottles, jars, cans, and containers go on one side, and paper and cardboard go on the other. This ensures less contamination, higher quality materials, and this increases the chances for these materials to be sold and to not only to obtain an income from them, but to ensure that they actually get recycled and that they don't end up being disposed. Montgomery County has been very successful in its recycling program and has the highest rate of recycling in Maryland, with 59% of solid waste created is recycled, and 64% if you include source reduction, which is not generating the waste at all, like through composting and other measures. Montgomery County tops all other counties in Maryland, which average 38.2 to 42.2 in comparative terms. So the recycling program is very good. Unfortunately, Poolesville is not sending its materials to the Montgomery County recycling program precisely because we have single stream. So we started, like Don was saying, delving into how is Poolesville doing. We only got one information set from Bates. So one of our proposals is going to be to start receiving this information twice a year to make sure that we can make informed decisions. So from what we know up to now, these are the figures for Poolesville in terms of, this is a biannual report. 1,000 tons incinerated, which is the where regular waste go. So I forgot to mention, here you see it in the graph, the regular trash from all of Montgomery County goes to the incineration waste to energy Darwood facility, a resource recovery facility, and there it gets separated into ash energy, which is produced by the burning of the materials, and recovery of some of the materials. So most of our waste goes to incineration, and recycling, we have 194 tons, which represents a 19% recycling rate, which is really low, so we don't think this number is correct. We think there's yard waste, there's some numbers that are missing, so one of the reasons we want to have more data is to be able to have an accurate number. But one of the things that we confirmed is that our waste are not going to the Montgomery facility, and that we want to have this data. So we had 3 proposals. The first one was to ask the new RFP providers to present both dual and single stream to have a better idea of the difference in cost. That one is done. Request this reporting biannually to Poolesville from now on, and from that would be our job, set up our baseline and start monitoring progress. So those are our proposals. And then we wanted to have a brief look at the bids that were presented, considering, like John said, we prefer dual stream for the reasons that we mentioned. And even though once a week pickup would be in environmental terms better, because there's less transport involved and less emissions, we think it's too early at this stage to make a shift, because you need first to have a very strong recycling program so that less waste is generated, and then you can change to 1 week. That's our initial thinking. So we're not proposing that at this moment, but we do recognize the environmental benefits.
Just to be clear, so you're suggesting 2 pickups a week? Or
Yeah.
Oh, 2 pickups, that's what we have now?
Yeah.
We have now, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So keep the current system as it is, but turning to dual stream.
Do we have data on, are families using twice a week? Like, do you know?
We
Wade?
did a survey, when was it, 2019, Don, I believe, and we asked that question, were people using it twice a
Yeah,
week?
like,
And
we only use it
overwhelmingly-
once a week.
Yeah,
but-
so overwhelmingly,
No, but it's not the
people said-
recycling,
No,
it's the
Yeah,
trash.
trash. That was my
Yeah.
question.
but overwhelmingly, yes, more people wanted it, keep it at twice a week because they said that they filled it up.
They were
And
filling
needed it,
it
had
up
the need
twice a
for it.
week. Okay.
Like I say, environmentally, once a week is better. There's no doubt about that,
Yeah.
but we
But
didn't.
maybe build a plan for
Yeah.
transitioning to once a week.
Transition, yeah.
Okay.
So, looking at the numbers, the least expensive option for dual stream twice weekly is T2 trash. It's a very competitive option from what we have in the graph. there's really not much discussion about it. It's the difference with a once-a-week dual stream option is only $20,000 annually, and like we say, it might be a good idea gradually to move to once a week, but it's not a huge difference right now.
Or maybe you move to once a week because that's what motivates people to recycle, because they only have one can to fill?
Yeah,
I'm just throwing it out there.
I will, yeah.
On that, so dual stream requires 3 containers, right? One for trash.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
for paper.
Yeah.
And one for,
The
What?
the other, recycling.
yeah, well, what is the other?
Cans,
Well, there's trash and
Plastic.
recycling. The dual stream requires 2 containers for recycling, but still only just 1 trash can for trash.
Yeah.
the other would be plastic, metal cans, and, yeah,
Oh,
and glass, yeah.
okay, swell, thank you.
And paper goes on the other side, yeah. So, yeah, there's only, with the twice a week, single stream, there's only, it's actually less expensive, so there's no economic reason to choose single stream. And regarding the weekly options, the difference is $20,000. And like we say, that would be open to see whether the rest of the citizens are happy with once a week or not. It's our biggest point right now is dual stream is really important, and that would be our suggestion. So, yeah.
This is great information. Thank you. I wasn't aware that Bates wasn't sending stuff to the Montgomery County facility, and that's very interesting. Wade, when we bid this out, or when we decide on somebody, can we require in the contract that they take it to Montgomery County so that we know it's being, not only is it being dual stream recycled, but it's actually like going to the county facility and being split up?
If we do dual stream, most of them will take it to Montgomery County.
Is there a specific reason why you feel like it has to stay in Montgomery County?
Well, because it sounds like Montgomery County does a better job of sorting
Like
it and
actually
making sure it's
recycling it.
actually being recycled, not like.
Those are the answers I'm looking for.
Yeah, because it sounds like if I'm understanding you guys correctly, some people just take it somewhere and probably aren't very careful with it, and it doesn't get sorted like it should, and it doesn't get recycled like it should.
Yeah,
Is that right?
We really don't have any information where material goes now in the single stream. The one slide shows that the 4 different places where Bates is taking it. We don't know what happens after that.
Yeah.
We have no information on those companies on how they handle it.
So you don't essentially know that if they handle it better or worse than Montgomery County does, correct? Just no data.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Montgomery County is a known, a known thing. It works there. The others, we don't know.
When you talked about getting regular reports, is that from Montgomery County facility or from the trash recycling company, or both?
From the provider
From
that
the
we
company.
contract.
From the
yeah.
company?
It
Okay, so
would
write that into
basically
the
to send-
contract so that they're reporting regularly to us.
It would be the same report they're sending to Montgomery County, they should just send a copy to us.
So they're already generating that kind of
Yeah.
report?
Yes, and that was included in the RFP also.
Excellent.
Suggestion.
And then my other question was, I really appreciate this. I feel like I'm learning a lot just watching it. And I think about how much we all have to learn in terms of, I don't know, reducing plastics, the education component of becoming more informed consumers and better recyclers and reusers and reducers. Does Sustainable Poolsville, could there be a component of community education that could be part of this?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the plan is going to be to use this changeover to, I'm going to say, potentially dramatically change the education. And that's one of the reasons why the Survey Monkeys got the compost component in there as well, because if it's, if we're really going to be committed to doing things as environmentally friendly as we can, then we're going to have to really, I know that it's not easy, Wade shaking his head like we're never going to teach people to do this, but we're going to have to do all we can
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
make this, whatever direction we end up choosing with whoever we end up doing it with, there is going to be a change.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to figure out a way to really get the residents to embrace it, and so that we're doing our share the best possible way. course, we're going to require you guys to go door to door and talk to everybody. So if you can be prepared for that.
I mean, that number is not insignificant. $20,000 difference between twice a week and once a week that's
Yeah, I think you're gonna have a tough call on that one there, my friend.
Yeah.
We can do your house once a week if you want.
The education angle, we don't feel that is a difficult thing to deal with. I don't know about anybody else, but at my household, we separate the paper from the, glass and bottles already.
Yeah.
When it comes time to take them out to the curb, we dump them in the big bin.
Yeah, and then they
drag
just
'em out
take all
there.
of it.
So it's just a matter of,
Yeah.
okay, instead of dumping it in the big bin, you just take the 2 small bins out.
Right.
I think most citizens would be on board with that.
Well, we used to be dual stream, too.
Yes.
We had a period of dual
That's the other
stream
thing.
prior to this. Also, too, just and a little more clarification, again, that's why one of the reasons we're asking about composting. If we
Yeah,
can really
table
get,
scraps.
if we're re-educating and making a difference, then we figure out how to even reduce the trash load through composting, as well as the separation, and then, as we said, really clean dual stream to make it as effective as possible. I mean, we're really going to have to work hard with everybody to try and get it that way. Because it is, as you said, too, we're guessing if we think that Bates just takes the single stream and then takes it somewhere and perfectly sorts it out, and there's very little waste that goes into the trash after that. I mean, that's dreaming, right? So we will, if we're going to go to doing this direction, if that's the way we're headed, then we're going to have to make sure our residents do the best possible job they can in doing it, including composting and including
Yeah.
trying to figure out how this works.
Yeah.
If I could put in a plug for composting,
Yes.
we are and have been looking at the idea of a centralized drop-off point for composting.
that survey
Where the Survey Monkey's out. We're looking at a lot of different aspects of it. We're talking to a couple different companies that do the pickup. Very preliminary stages at this point. We're still gathering information. Somewhere down the road in a couple of months, we will be back here with a report on that.
It's great. Just let it be known, it will not be at the co-op location. We're not doing that. Well, I mean, who knows? We'll see.
You don't know what all the co-op members
No, we
are gonna
don't.
vote
We
for.
don't. They could vote for it. You're right. You're right.
I just wanted to ask one more clarifying
Yeah,
question.
go.
So the Montgomery County Recycling Center over there on 355, is that what we're talking about?
Right,
And I think you said that they do not accept single stream?
that's correct.
Okay, so does that mean, Wade, that on our sheets here that we have, which is the choices for our discussion, essentially half of the choices are eliminated if we want to go with dual stream?
Correct.
Okay. And do we know if these companies, are they required to take it to Montgomery County facility if it's dual stream?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so is that something we would,
No, most of the time it's just more economical to keep it in county if you could take it there.
familiarity.
okay.
Is that something we'd be interested in putting into the contract, like that's just to make sure they are going there?
We could certainly do that.
I mean, if we're going through all this trouble to like do dual stream, it'd be nice to know that it's actually being,
Yes, and some of them said they were already in the proposals that came in,
Okay.
identified that that is the location for a dual stream drop-off.
great.
And, I know that we're going to be addressing, as we have further discussions about this, including, my concern is always, and we talked about this today, how are the townhouses going to handle, the multitude of bins that they're going to be dealing with? And
Or
we'll-
maybe some centralized ones, right? Do they ever do that?
We haven't done that so far. That would be an interesting idea.
We
So-
kind of have that now with the big bins, and it's not good.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't work.
With
Yeah.
what big bit?
So, go ahead, Wade.
So in some areas of the
Okay.
townhome communities, they do pile them up in like a centralized area, and sometimes they leave all the big containers out there, and they dump the recycles into it, and it turns out to be a big mess. So
Oh,
having
you
the bigger
mean like
containers
lots
is
of
actually a
small
bigger problem.
bins?
Right.
Yeah, so.
I was thinking, I guess, more of like a big, like
You
cardboard.
said, though, the bigger bins are the, potentially the mess.
Because they're not people aren't necessarily policing kind of what's going in them, so then it gets mixed up and
Yeah,
it's,
fill them with trash, yes.
yeah, okay.
And once
I can see that.
Once it's contaminated,
Yeah,
it
the whole
creates
thing's
another,
contaminated.
it creates another problem.
Yeah.
And so, well, I want to thank the two of you for coming in and presenting. And then as we look at the education piece, I think that the Sustainable Poolsville since we've been talking about this, we've slowly been doing the educating. And so I think that the team would definitely be able to increase the education. I think that it's going to be, it's a gradual process, though,
Yeah.
till you hit a more of a critical mass within the community.
Well, like I said at the beginning, we wanted to, get this information out to you all as you start looking at that spreadsheet that Wade gave you to determine who's going to get the next contract, and let you know how your Sustainable Poolsville Committee feels on that issue. And that's what we have.
Thank you for your time. It's great, good information.
We appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Good stuff. Good.
Yes, committee reports coming up next. Martin, what do you have for us from the Planning Commission?
Nothing since we haven't met since my last report, but a comprehensive plan. I'll have more for you in the next meeting.
Very good. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Ed?
So in addition to what you've heard already with the Sustainable Poolsville Committee, at our last meeting, we talked about rolling out the Pick It Up Poolsville campaign, and I believe there's a link that's been, you got the survey link yet?
The composting link is already up.
Okay,
If you pick it up Poolsville, we need the information for that.
okay.
So, actually have that ready. Okay. Just send it to me, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so that's gonna be really nice, because they're gonna start doing that, so people could sign up to do the Pick It Up Poolsville, which is cleaning up around the community, having teams doing that piece. Other thing we talked about at our last meeting, well, Jason Wood, if you all remember, he's the Boy Scout, and he has the Pollinator Meadow Project. So they're going to start, his team will have a team out that will start planning on March 25th, so that's exciting. And then he plans to be out at Poolsville, on the 6th of May at the Spring Fest. We'll have more information, sharing about what the project is. And then as it was already mentioned tonight, that we're going to be diving deeper into the discussion about composting. Yep. Then we'll have our next meeting later this month.
Thanks for that.
All right.
Sarah, what you got for us?
Well, just adding on to what you've already talked about with White's Ferry, there are some sort of media movements that we're continuing to move forward. Link worked with WAMU to get some pictures, and there's a story that should start running on Wednesday this week. There already is the social media one is out, right? The one from, it's more of the fair access. What is fair access? It hasn't been released yet. Okay, but it's completed, and we've seen it. So the PR company that we work with helped create a short little video that helps people to get to know what the purpose of fair access is and what it is that we're doing, the things that we've accomplished so far, and some of the things that we're still working on. And it's fantastic, and we're going to start sharing that soon. It's completed. We've all seen it. It looks really good. Also wanted to add that my MCM, this is something that's maybe in the works, but we also are setting up an interview. A couple weeks ago, when I did an interview with them, and so did several of our members of the Fair Access Committee, I talked a little bit about some of the health challenges that my husband had in terms of accessing health care out here. And they're going to do a follow-up interview with us most likely next week. So we're excited to take that as an opportunity to really highlight the challenges that our community has in accessing health care out here. What else?
You want to talk about the visit we did?
Yeah, so Ed and I did a Cross Vines tour with Dr. Williams, who's the president of Montgomery College, and Jeremy Chris, the agriculture department head, and then some other folks from Montgomery Community College from the STEM department and such. And they were particularly interested in our comments about, for example, transportation, in terms of, Montgomery Community College being a community college that's supposed to be accessible to everybody in the county. And we have one bus that comes in the morning and at night. So it's very difficult for students from the Ag Reserve in general to get to the community college that their taxes are paying for and they're supposed to have access to. So he was very interested in that. We talked about that quite a bit. They were also very interested in the lack of access to healthcare. Montgomery Community College is one of the few community colleges that has a hospital on site and does healthcare training. So that's something that they're excited to look into. What can they do to help increase the capacity of healthcare workers out here? So that was kind of exciting. We also are spinning the idea of seeing if any of them are interested, especially in their economics department, doing some more ag reserve specific economic research. Our economy has expanded beyond just sort of traditional agriculture to sort of the agribiz, agritourism. And when we had conversations with Montgomery County Tourism, or Visit, I think it's called Visit Montgomery County, they actually didn't have data that was relevant to the ag reserve and what our business is and our economy is based on. So looking for ways to help get that information. We're also continuing our meetings, getting to know the county council members. We have a commitment from Lori Ann Sales and Marilyn Balcom to come to the HMD event on March 15th about the history of black schools. And then we also are working with Kate Stewart, who is a District 4 council member. So, and she's going to come to locals on March 17th for a briefing. And then Keisha Davis, the new public health officer, is coming out to be briefed by about our health issues on March 30th. I'm still kind of working out the details of that. So we have some good things that are in the works. Marilyn Balcom continues to be an advocate for us in pushing to get funding in the county budget for a wellness center at both our high school and the community center. So we're continuing to work with her on that. And then just a new, just bringing it to all you other commissioners, we also are working on a letter in support of the Riverworks application for a project grant funding. Just saying that we as a community are behind them and support all the work that they're doing to preserve history and build community. So that is it for the Fair Access Committee. Yeah.
I was taking notes as quick as I could. What time will Kate Stewart from, is it District 2? Be at locals on March 17th?
I believe it's 1 p.m. Is that
1
right,
p.m.
Link? Yeah.
So that's St. Patrick's Day.
Exciting.
Yeah.
How lucky for us.
And locals now offers beer and wine.
Yeah, nice. Not too early in the morning for that, right?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
And we do have our meeting this Thursday, so I'll have more information after that.
Great, thank you. That was, I mean this in the most complimentary way. That was Jeff-like, that report. And I mean that, I do mean that.
I am trying to give myself permission to expand a little. I'll usually keep it really, really short.
You did a great job. Thank you. Yeah, you did a great job. I appreciate that. Jeff, speaking of Jeff, go ahead. You're up for.
I have no report.
Oh, stop.
We just swapped.
We must have. Way to go, guys. Way to coordinate.
Well, our meeting is on Wednesday, and we don't have the agenda just yet, so, but I would put a word in because, my microphone. I would put a word in for what we're going to talk about a bit later, because the Parks Board did work with, the commissioners and also with Wade and with Niles on the speed hump policy. And now it's very well delineated, and I read it over several times, and I guess we'll talk about it, but I'm very pleased that we now have something, because when citizens come and say, well, I want a speed hump here and here and here and here and here, now we have something that we can actually follow the process and figure out if that's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Totally agree with that direction. Okay, very good. Thanks, everybody, for committee reports. Now, I have two different agendas, so I'm going to go in the direction of the approval of the minutes first before we come to public comment, and I know Jerry's going to have something to say there. So if everybody's reviewed the minutes, can anybody please feel free to make a motion?
I motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting, from the 21st of February.
Ed's made a motion to approve the minutes of February 21, 2023. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Martin. Is there any questions on the minutes? They were forwarded to you some time ago. None? All those in favor of approving the minutes of February 21st, 2023 as moved, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None? Minutes have been approved 5-0 by the commissioners. Public comment time, John, tell me, who do we have with us today? I'll stop doing that. All right, you're okay with it? Okay, good. All right, very good. We have one, Jerome Klobakowski. Jerry, come on up.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jerome Klobakowski, 17300 Fletcher Road. I have several questions here, some on the agenda, some are not. One, there was a manhole on Lund Street with signs that were put up saying that work was to be done between 13th and 16th of February. That never happened, and I was wondering when it's going to happen.
We'll wait till John comes back in. He was running that project.
And also that when it is scheduled, that postcards be sent out to everyone that's on Lund, Fletcher, and Gott, or door hangers put on.
Typically, we have the contractor put up door handlers or notices, yes.
Okay, because that is a major entrance to those streets. I don't know if you, let's see, Dollar General. There's two globe lights, one on either side of the front of Dollar General that are not upright. They're hanging over. They've been like that, I don't know for how long, and now it looks like the right side of the building, somebody used it as their parking brake because it's stove in a bit, and they have a piece of plywood, I think, in front of where it is. So I was wondering, are they going to do something about it? It seems like this thing with the lights is continually, get some duct tape and fix it, for crying out loud. The other thing is, speaking of lights, is the LED lights that have just been installed, I believe, by Doctors Pike and Valega. I mean, when you're coming around the corner and going up, they blind you. If they had those lights during the Blitz in London, the Germans would have never been able to bomb the damn town, London. So, I mean, they're really, really bright. I understand the reason for them, and there's a need for them, but they either need to be directed downward or they need to be reduced in intensity. Because I came around there one night and it was like, holy Corona. All right.
Hang on for a second. Have we heard from anybody else on that?
No.
Do we but that? Okay.
No, and they are below 3,000 Kelvin, which is the brightness that you look at to make sure that it's not a bad light, and they're also all night sky compliant, which means
Right.
they do shine down.
Yeah, they do, well, they. if
Maybe
you
it's
come
'cause of the
ar-
elevation
when-
or something?
Basically, the way they're aimed, and when you're coming low, they're coming right at you. You turn that corner and they're there. You
Where
can
was
see
that?
'em.
Where was that light? Was it
Pardon?
one light, or was it a?
There's two lights. They're two flat panel lights. I mean, you look at them, I think they're really intense. Yes. Fireworks. Is there any negotiation that goes on between us, or the fire department, and the fireworks company, between the price that's charged for last year versus this year, and the reason for any cost increase, and what's the cost increase percentage over the last year's? Because it's like, what, $30,000 this year they want?
Well, I kind of see that you're looking at me, but which is fine. I don't mind you looking at me, but I have transitioned out of that position. So now it's a question that you're welcome, or I can carry that forward.
So he's going to stare at you and then you stare at me?
Well, I'll stare at
Okay.
anybody. I
We
don't
can take
care.
turns.
I'll
Yeah,
pick
just
on-
look-
I'll pick on
look for
anybody.
answers.
It doesn't
You'll take it
matter.
right.
No, I mean,
stare
you're-
I can stare at Niles just as well as you.
I
So
wouldn't,
you're
I wouldn't
right.
blame you.
So anyways.
It was a big jump, Jerry, no doubt about that. But I really shouldn't answer the question because, as you know, what was that called? Yeah, thanks. I abstained from the votes and whatnot, so, yeah, I can definitely carry that forward, or you can, Jim. Maybe more it's appropriate that you do.
Well, I'm going to pass the ball over to our guys a little bit because we had the MOU come in from the fire department. But in my understanding is, and I did meet with them at their location so that I could help them kind of carry the ball to what we're doing here. And what it came down to is that they do have other alternative suppliers, but the other primary suppliers over the last couple of years and during COVID showed a propensity to not deliver. We know they had premature explosions in Ocean City. They've had other opportunities to look at other people, and my impression is that they did bid out to other places that looked like they could do the job, but the money difference wasn't much, and it was also not they didn't feel comfortable with them.
Well, as I recall, pardon me if I
Yeah, sure.
interrupted, but my understanding is we've never had that problem with premature detonations
Yeah.
like they've had in other places. So
Right, and that
I
was
don't
through
know.
Zambelli, and it's a legitimate question to ask, Jerry, and
Yeah.
I agree with you, the jump up is huge. But I will also say this too, they have come to us for $30,000 a year for the next 3 years.
30,000, I thought it was.
Yeah, 30, that's what I said, 30,000.
I thought you said 3, pardon me.
Okay, 3 sounds good, but $30,000 a year for 3 straight years, knowing full well that their costs are going to go up and expand beyond that, and they're going to have to figure out the fundraising and increase their fundraising component. That was one part of it, to match that number. They've asked us for a commitment for 3 years for that number, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, so then, the other part of it is that, we insisted, and I insisted, that we get to know the full componentry of how July 4th works, because you sat behind this desk with me, where we sat there and like, as much as we love the fire department, the town doesn't want to be the fundraiser for the fire department, right? We have to see how the money works.
And also, we argued for them, they finally did, put a banner up.
Correct.
I've seen it once. in
Yes,
I don't know how many
they will
years,
have that
saying
too,
that
and-
we contributed to the supporting.
And remind me, when
fireworks.
we have our special place this year, that you, as a former commissioner, you'll definitely get a seat there if you want it.
Special
But,
place.
the special
Yeah.
place. But
Right
I don't
in
want
front
to,
of where they set off the fire.
I don't want to define that right now, but a special place for you. But no, seriously, that they had, there's going to be a carryover. Their expenses are going to go up. They gave us a guaranteed number for the 3 years. It is Zambelli. They have the highest reputation.
Right.
They have the highest reputation for small town fireworks too.
Okay.
Nobody likes the price increase. The price increase is ridiculous, but it is out there. And when they gave us the price increase, they also outlined the breakdown of why, transportation went up by this, gross materials went up by this, labor expertise went up by a certain amount. They did spell it out why
Do they
the
make
money
their
went up.
own, or are they imported from China?
No, it's all bought, but they have their own they have their own facility in China. So, it does come from China, but it's under Zambelli Manufacturing.
All right. Then I'll look over here and stare at Sarah and Ed. Why $95,000 for our PR firm? No, why $95,000 for the PR firm, if I recall correctly from reading the article in the Monocle?
I don't know if you know more about the history. I've come in just
Well, the
this
history, I'd
last
like to
2
know
months.
the breakdown. What's the 95 going to be spent for?
Sure.
Pens, pencils, buttons, balloons, putting out brochures.
So
all that
I'll
other
just
stuff.
jump in. It's
Right.
not spent specifically at the PR firm. That's our general, Fair Access general
Right.
budget. But, yeah, the breakfast is a substantial
biggest
part of
one.
this. There are costs to hold the events that
Right.
create these lobbying efforts that yield the, most likely in the $170 million in results that benefit the community. So if you need to, Link's already supplied a budget that has some breakdown to it, but if you need more information on how exactly we spend it, we're happy to supply it. It does come down to a mix between the PR company doesn't get it all. Obviously, the cost of doing events, we have a ton of volunteer, money that would be spent that volunteers provide services for in order to create the opportunities to get the money that we get. And I said, we'll gladly throw
Yeah, I know
down
some-
monetary accomplishments versus money spent. We'll do that equation all
No,
day
I
long.
understood some of it went to the breakfast, some of it goes to the license for the Survey Monkey, as I recall, and I can't remember what else.
Our not just our survey, but our deliverables to be able to mass email to the, muster campaign, et cetera. Thank you for that, you guys.
All right. I'll take speed bumps next for $0. I understand people want speed humps, and I understand why. But I see that as a failure of the Montgomery County Police Department to randomly patrol in the inside of Poolsville developments. We've raised this for years, and all they do is generally sit on 107 or Fisher Avenue, and that's it. But I never see them inside the developments, you know, or you know, just stopping the car. They say familiarize, you know, police should, know the areas and the public that they're patrolling, and also to develop a, I want to say not camaraderie is the wrong word, but, you know, empathy for us, for them as well as the public, is, you know, stop when somebody's walking their dog, introduce themselves and say, I'm patrolman so-and-so, and everything okay? Have you seen anything? You know, if you know, here's my name, here's my number, and et cetera, et cetera. I don't see that happening. And this speed bump thing, you know, has been for a long time, and I see people, speed bumps for some of these guys, that's fun. That's fun for them.
Go ahead. Wait, I know where you're going to go with it.
No, I was going to say, this speed hump policy actually speaks to exactly what you're saying.
Okay.
So many times, you know, people have come to the Parks Board and said, hey, we need speed humps on this street and this street, and we've kind of just arbitrarily went ahead and placed them without doing due diligence. And so we did. Niles actually contacted the commander, and they put up the speed trailer and put it in ghost mode to see on Spades Hill, was the exact road that we took a look at, to see if there was speeding actually going on, and there wasn't.
Okay.
And so the speed hump won't go up. So actually, it speaks to exactly what you
All
were
right.
saying. You have to prove there's a problem.
But at the same token, they don't bother to try and, you know, make friends with the local populace or walk there.
Right.
I don't see them, you know, and I think that would help a lot.
If they could hire 300 more officers, they might be able to do that.
Well, you know, there's always an excuse. There's always an excuse.
That's a true one there.
And they always have a good one, and it's, you know, whatever. The bottom line is, you know, I believe that we're definitely lacking, have been for a long time. Now, respected,
You saying that you support the $20,000 recruitment fee per police officer to bring them up to speed? and funding
whatever
for
that, you know, whatever it takes, number one.
Right.
There's other aspects of why the police forces in Montgomery County is leaving in droves, and some of them are just, it's their time to retire. I mean, they put their time in, and they want to,
Yeah, we have a prominent one here in Poolsville.
yeah, so, bottom line. But I just think that, you know, it would behoove
So
them.
what you're saying, just to put this to bed in its own way, you want us to, in our conversations and discussions with Montgomery County Police, ask if they can, when they're in the area, please try to give our neighborhoods more attention by driving through them.
Right.
And
Now, I
whatever
remember
level of presence.
when I was president of the Montgomery County Maryland Municipal League, we started inviting the police chief, who at the time was Danger, and then it went to the new gentleman now, to come to the meeting and talk to all the leaders of all the municipalities that were members. And we would raise this issue with them, because it's not only us, it's other municipalities as well.
I'm grinning is because I think we have not invited the police chief to come up. So I
No,
don't,
but this was
have
the
we not done that?
chapter,
We need to do
Montgomery
that.
County Municipal League chapter. Yeah, okay.
Okay, got it.
You know, but I mean, and I would raise it then, you know, and you hear some of the same
Fair enough.
stories.
Yeah.
Okay, on the trash contract,
Is it 3 minutes per subject?
well, I don't know, but, you know, hey, you said talk with the agenda, so I'm
No, I
talking
said,
to
you're
the
there. No,
agenda.
you're in your time period and your
All right,
element,
and
sir. Go
hey,
ahead.
look, for as many times as I have not been,
No, I agree.
you know, here,
Yeah.
saying what type of
Yeah.
person of pain I would be.
Chair flips over, it goes
So,
through the thing. Go
anyways,
ahead,
no,
you're up still. Keep going.
One, on the, I'll be quick, on the trash contract, one, the idea how much it costs has to do with the tipping fees. And as I recall, it was cheaper for them to take it out of the county because of tipping fees. One of the things they put up there was Waste Management, I think, where some of the stuff was taken. Waste Management is a very reputable firm, and they're one of the top waste haulers in the So to say that some of these people, without really directly knowing how they handle something, I think is the wrong thing to say. And by the way, that trash picture, I think I saw that, and that was a long time ago, and that was after the earthquake in Japan, when the tidal wave into Fukushima, and all the stuff from Japan came floating over to the West Coast. Okay, is there going to be a penalty schedule for houses that are missed, tracks left on the road, and a failure for obeying like safety rules. Like I think it was when Titus was around a long time ago, they were supposed to wear vests and the guys never did. You know, are there gonna be some sort of penalty? Special pickup bulk items. Only one person's quoted a price in there. Are the others have a price that we should know about?
Well,
Or-
there is a difference in the service level provided there, so you can address that.
So a couple of questions. I mean, yeah, the bulk thing, speak to that. If there was a price in there, then it was the price. Otherwise, it's included in the fees with the other ones.
So
Some
in
people
other
said I'm
words,
not picking it up as part of the
there would be,
contract.
if you select like Titus, he didn't have one, that
It's
would.
part of the
okay.
contract.
And then one of the things said there's a 5% per year escalation fee.
Yes, two of them said that.
Two
Well,
of
there was
them said-
escalators on two of them, yes.
Okay, so is there a standard escalation fee that should be used? Like nothing above the CPI or something like that?
If we go that route with an escalator, then yes, we will look at that.
Okay, because I would think that would help level things out. And what, yeah, I understand that the trash recycling goes to, I understand one of the reasons why Bates was cheaper the last time around was they took the trash to their own recycling thing, like which was shown.
Unity had it, right.
And then they got a credit, or got the money for recycling the stuff, which helped reduce our fees per household.
Right.
Okay. And if you went to one, it wouldn't upset me, because I generally don't have enough trash to throw out for a week or two. The one thing though, with organic, you put a tub out there for organic stuff during the summer, that could have a few malodorous problems. Anyways,
Looking forward to seeing what the survey results say on that
Okay.
before we, we take further action there. So.
and thank you very much for your indulgence.
It's great to
I
hear your voice
appreciate it.
again, sir.
Oh, yeah, sure
We'll
it
s-
is.
We'll see you in July.
Probably.
No, all good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. You've
Thank you,
good,
Mick.
good clarification. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I just want to make one quick comment. I know we have invited Commander Hattenberg from Montgomery County Police here on several occasions, and, just perhaps we invite Commander Hattenberg to come once or twice a year and just give us a updated picture.
You can reach out to her. It's been a while. I agree. Let's refamiliarize ourselves. She was here on Poolsville Day. She also did our COVID rollout, test kit rollout. So it was kind of surprised to see her on Poolsville Day out there. She was like in the road. I'm like, hey, you're just supposed to have somebody else doing that. All right. Well, appreciate that, Jerry. Thanks for the comments. Gone already. Oh well. Old business. Nothing here, right? Nothing's changed. That's where we are. New business. Water tank painting. Gentlemen.
Okay, this is a two-stage presentation. Again, we'll talk about the awarding of the contract for the painting of the tank. This was one of the projects that's been pushed back since COVID due to, most of the time, price increases or lack of employees or whatever it is. So we're looking at that now. So we'll be doing a budget amendment because the prices have gone up from what we had in the budget originally, and John will present the bids and recommendation for award.
All right, good evening. We ended up with 3 bids. 2 of them fairly close, one of them a little further out. There were 3 contractors that bid on the project. We did have a total of 5 that showed up to pre-bid. The bids were opened on February 2nd and at 11 a.m. The prices were as follows: Manolis Painting Incorporated, $477,000. Brave Industrial Paint LLC, $510,000. And Dynamic Sandblasting and Painting LLC, $665,000. We discussed it with Manolis, and actually Manolis has done some other work for the town in the past. Based on our discussions with the contractor, and it is our opinion that Manolis Painting Incorporated was the most responsive bidders. Contract 100.041, repainting of the 500,000 gallon water tower for a sum of $477,000. We recommend that to them. We also recommend an additional fee of $20,000 for the logo that's to go on the tank, and that was approved a while ago. We recommend a contingency fee of 10% to establish for unforeseen conditions. We always have little problems with certain things. That's $47,700. And then an administration fee of 2.5% for engineering and also administration costs. That's reviewing of submittals and ongoing work and how the work is progressing, of $11,925. That brings the project total to $556,625. Manolis has been good to the town in the past. The lettering is covered under the contract. It's just the additional, if you all remember, P with the falcon in the middle. So, and that's actually a separate item that's applied to the tank. So, it's almost like a decal, almost like well, yeah. yeah, that's a game plan.
My understanding, it'll be on the side that faces the high school, will have that.
The
that-
P.
That decal, on the side that faces the town will have the word Poolsville.
That's correct.
Okay, so.
Yep.
And my understanding also, because Wade corrected me on this, I was thinking that it included painting the outside of the tank and the inside of the tank.
Negative, this is outside.
But apparently
We-
it's only the outside of the tank.
Yeah, we painted the inside probably 3 years ago now. Yeah. Yeah.
As well, thank you.
Okay, guys, very good stuff. Listen, so you've heard everything. You know that this is something we've been waiting to do for a while. We appreciate all the due diligence on town staff's behalf to try and pull this together. We realize it needs to be done, and so that means time that we've got to make a budget amendment. And Martin, I think you've got it all spelled out there.
Okay, nobody has any other questions. I make a motion, we transfer $222,358 to account number 3130, line item 500,000 gallon water tank. Start with that motion.
So we have a motion to transfer a set amount, $222,358 to account number 3130, which is already on the line item 500K gallon water tank. Motion's been made. Do we have a second? We have a second on that motion. Is there questions on this?
Are we going to talk about this on our budget meeting on the 11th?
No, the reason why we're doing this now, go ahead. This is the reason why we're doing this now, because we're actually amending the current budget to do this.
Oh,
in order
perfect.
to get the job done. What? Who didn't press my button? I didn't. So yes, it's a good question, but no, this is something that's going to take place before that's in this budget. Go ahead. So Martin's made a motion. Do we have any other questions? None? All those in favor of the motion, please, we did have a second. Sarah, second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None? Do we have a second motion, Martin?
Yeah, I make a motion, we award the painting contract to Manolis Painting Incorporated in the amount of $477,000 and set the project budget at $556,625.
So he's made a second motion, which, combined with the first motion, gives us in the direction to get this thing done. Do people have questions about the second motion, awarding the painting contract to Manolis Painting, Inc. in the amount of $477,000 and set the project budget at $556,625 as per staff's recommendation? Do we have a second? Second from Sarah. Okay, any other questions? Jeff, anything? Good with it?
No, I'm just thinking in my mind, probably the answer is obvious, but does that include painting all the legs and snuffs and whatnot?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it's the entire exterior.
The exterior, the ground
Yep.
up.
Okay, good. Motion, second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None? Nothing like spending money. Good stuff. All right, thank you for that, and thanks, Martin, for doing the heavy lifting there, buddy. Town events proposed budget. So we're going to have Town Events Coordinator Kathy Bubb come up. Kathy, I just want to remind you, we have thousands of people on YouTube watching right now. So be prepared for that, sir. Go ahead.
Kathy, do you want to be moving until the end?
Do you mind? Hi. So I am here with my budget request for this year's events and to let you know what we're planning. First, I'd like to thank you for always supporting our events and attending them when you can. It's always good to see you there. I'm requesting $56,000 to cover bingo at all the events. So, actually, it's to cover Springfest, Friday on the Commons, the Big Flea, our community scarecrow event. We have a new event planned for October. We're calling Rocktoberfest, our holiday lighting ceremony, and our holiday lighting contest. And this is about an $11,000 increase from last year's budget just to cover the rising cost of putting on events. Everything has gone up from tent rentals to inflatables, the cost of bands. But we'd also like to add a few new events. The Friday on the Commons Committee has 6 events scheduled from June to September, and we'd like to add a spring event for next April, a kids event starting in April. Our new October event is kind of a new old event. We used to do the Wumco Walk and Harvest event with Wumco and the local churches, and they decided not to continue with that event after COVID. So the Springfest Committee has agreed to take on, a new event, and it's going to be called Rocktoberfest. We're going to have rock bands, hopefully high school kids. So that's that. And then the holiday lighting event. I'd like to add, it was crazy this year. So I'd like to add an additional train. If you all were at the event or saw the line, I mean, we had a long line of crying parents because the wait was so, the wait was so long. 2 trains running simultaneously, and I've already contacted Caleva. They do the wagon rides throughout town, and they're going to provide 2 wagons next year. So hopefully that will take care of that event. So that's really my plan for this year's events. I did get a call tonight from a new board member with the PTA, and they have a meeting later this month, and they would like to bring back the summer carnival. So it might be August this year, but if not this year, it'll definitely be June of next year. So that'll be back, and that'll be good. And so really, that is all I have.
That's great news. Yeah, and that's a lot of bang for the buck there. So
Yes.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So.
I have a
for
quick
that.
question.
Sure.
I know we talked about the wiring in the Wayland Commons, and I believe Preston said that the holiday lights, like the actual, I call them Christmas lights, needed to be updated. Is that included in your number, or is that in Preston's
That's not in
number?
my number, that's,
Separate number we'll talk about on Saturday.
Okay, so it's in Preston's number. Okay, swell, thank you.
I don't want to bring this up, but I might as well go and do it anyway. Where are we standing with the summer camp right now, since we're talking about events? The 2 of you, the 3 of you, the 4 of you. Someone give us an update.
well, we're plugging along. I mean, we were just given a number of, we had to have our own camp number through CGIS to do background checks on employees, and that just went through today. That was one of our big holdups. We're working on policies and procedures that need to be approved through the Maryland Department of Health. So it's moving along.
Still proceeding, is what you're telling me.
We are right now. We have kind of in our minds a drop dead date if things don't go through. But we did reach out to Antisha from the HR firm to help put these policies and procedures together. She
Yeah. So
was
she's
pretty
working
quick on it,
that.
getting it to us, so. And you're a health advisor, you're still working on that, or did you get that one?
I did, there's a pediatrician out of Alney that is willing to do that, so we've got a health supervisor. That was a big hang-up too, so.
So,
Have we set the price for this year's camp yet?
no, we have not.
Okay, so that'll be a discussion we have to have, because it seems like it probably should go up a little if we have to go through all, spend extra time.
Yes, and I have a special form that I put in the budget packet, so
Great.
begin that discussion.
Great.
Somehow we knew you'd ask. After last year's discussion. Okay, very good, Kathy. Anything else, any other questions from the commissioners on this, on what we're doing? Appreciate the budget breakdown, appreciate your hard work.
Thank
Keep
you.
up the good work.
Thank you.
And then, yeah, they're
you.
total community builders. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very, very well done. Good energy. Thank you for that. All right, very good. So I'm gonna, before we go to traffic, trash rather, do you guys mind jumping ahead to speed hump and go ahead and give us a little more on that? Because I think that's gonna be a little simpler for now at least, even though this is gonna be an introduction to trash is what we're gonna be doing. But let's do speed humps first.
Certainly. So, based on the conversation we had back in the fall about speed humps, we went through and we talked to the police, and that's where we got the speed trailers, excuse me, that sort of led to this process. So, as part of doing research for that, I looked at the the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials and the National Association of City Transportation Officials guidelines for things like adding speed humps. So that led to this policy is based on those guidelines that talk primarily about things like the prevailing speed on roads. So if the 85th percentile speed on a road is more than approximately about 10 miles over the speed limit, that would be an indication of potentially having a speed hump. Versus, there are other criteria which you'll see in the policy, but that's a good one that you can measure. Then also looking at the availability of sidewalks and things like that. So the policy is built on the idea of standardizing the process when we get these requests. So people would reach out, the Parks Board would give notice to the residents in the surrounding area that there was a consideration or a request for a speed bump to get their input. We would set up the speed trailer again, so we talked to the police again about that, and then it would be evaluated on the criteria in the policy, and then a recommendation would come to the Parks Board and then to commissioners. So that's basically what the policy says. And if you have any questions, let me know.
And if I may just add that, and I really thank Niles for doing all this work, that sometime back we had a request from a resident, I believe the resident lives along on Lily or Krister, on Wooten there. And the resident said the traffic was coming speeding down from the high school, which not hard to believe, right? And down Wooten Avenue past his residence. And then sometime after that, so we were thinking about that, sometime after, I think it was Officer Howard, who's a resident here, came and to talk about something else, and then he mentioned that the possibility of having the speed study done with a device that would be set up in, as Wade mentioned, ghost mode, which means the big screen is turned off. It's measuring and everything, but the big screen is turned off. He says you need to have it in ghost mode because otherwise either people will see their speed on the big screen and they'll either slow up or they'll take it as a challenge and speed up. So anyway, this big screen is turned off, but it's still recording. So what we did after that then, we had the device, Wade and Niles organized it from the Montgomery County Police. You have to request it and you have to wait in line when it's available. It was placed in the right spot and it was determined that the traffic was not speeding. It didn't meet the criteria. And so that was kind of an eye-opening thing, right? Because people do perceive traffic sometimes is going faster than it's supposed to be, but sometimes they're not. So I was very pleased. The resident wasn't that keen about it, but nevertheless, now we have something we can point to and we can say, we'll put a speed hump there if it meets this criteria, and we'll have a process to kind of point at and say, this is our regulation. Thank you very much for the work on that, Niles.
Thanks to the Parks Board too, and Niles for your background information. As former Officer Howard said, we don't have a speeding problem, we have a stop sign problem. So, and that was made evident on that ghost mode on that road. So, okay, good. So, what action are we taking with the speed hump policy? What's happening here? Besides discussion?
It's up for adoption.
And so we're gonna, and this is, since it's new business, are we still prepared to do this tonight?
You can wait, there's no rush, there's nothing in front of us.
I'm not opposed to moving forward with it if somebody's can make a motion that that addresses it.
I'll be happy to make a motion to...
Unless I hear from the commissioners, we can do that under discussion if you want. So if you want to make the motion, go for it.
I
and
do.
we'll
I would like to
second it
make a motion to adopt the speed hump policy. I don't know if it has like a number on it or anything, but the speed hump policy dated, I don't know, I guess it's dated today.
You
This
can
one.
say today. Yeah,
This one.
it's the latest version of it,
Okay.
yes.
The only version.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt the new speed hump policy. Does any other questions of the commissioners? None? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None? Great. The wheels of justice move quickly. Okay, very good. Now, trash collection proposals, Wade?
Okay, so we put the RFP together and sent it out. We received 6 proposals back. Surprisingly, well, maybe not surprisingly, the 2 bigger companies, Waste Management and Republic, did not include themselves into the bidding. Usually they bid themselves out of it because they're way higher. The bids range anywhere from well over $1 million on an annual basis to $786,000 on an annual basis. Right now, we're about $510,000, so it's going to be a substantial increase in the annual budget either way. It was broken down into several components of pick up trash twice a week or once a week, single stream, dual stream, and then there was extra stuff if they wanted to. If there was some companies had extra fees for doing bulk pickups. Most of them, if it's not part of what I did on a breakdown, it's included in the price, which is what we've typically been paid. I also broke down some of the components of the actual operations of the contractors as far as what type of bins they would include, whether it was dual stream or single stream. And it's also list out what kind of equipment they have now. And some of them have trucks already ready to go. A couple of them said they're going to buy, a couple new trucks, or 3 new trucks, 2 new trucks, different cases, different contractors, and hire people specific for this area. So it's laid out in all different ways, kind of broken down so we can get a good flavor for each of them. Also included in the packet was some references that we checked on them. And you can see that there's pretty much everybody had good comments back. And I broke it down from a great review versus a good review versus just, an okay, is the amount of comments. So if we had specific questions we asked, if they just answered yes or no, and if they were all yeses, well, that's good. But if they took the time actually to write out, they did this one, there was extra, they went the extra mile and different things, well, that makes it good. So that's how it's kind of rated on as far as that goes. So really what we need to do is talk about what type of service that we want to have. And start from there, and that's going to help narrow the choices down.
You want to talk about that tonight?
We can start the conversation. We don't have to make any major decisions tonight, but we need to have the discussions.
I will say I'll start the discussion. I will say I do like the idea of dual stream recycling. These guys came with a very compelling case for that. I was going to ask you, Wade, about the Zero Waste Company. Like the thing that jumped out at me as being a little bit like, it sounds like they don't exist around here now, and they're just going to hire a couple people and buy a couple trucks.
That's exactly what they're going to hire.
Doesn't sound like they have any redundancy. What if somebody gets sick? What if
that was my first? Yeah, that's my first thought too.
Yeah. Whereas Titus, for example, they have a much bigger infrastructure and presence in this area. Is that right?
That's correct. And we could take him right there. Like I said, you could expect to have a trash truck in the town 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Maybe that's good. Maybe that's bad. We're doing yard waste one day, so that's really a short day, anyways. They're doing they don't have a commingled truck, so they have to do glass and bottles and stuff on one day, and then paper on another. So really, it's going to be getting the word out to the folks of this day is this, and so everybody's yes. So 2 of those actually, the 2 of the proposals came in that way. If they just had a couple trucks, well, they had to spread it out.
You okay? You got the bad chair, don't you? No, you didn't push it. Hey, look, I was making sure that you're safe.
He's been watching you closely all meeting.
Yeah.
For you to lean back.
So it makes 2 of us with a bad chair, man. Welcome to the club. But what I was looking through here is looking at the ones with the dual stream are the ones that really stick out to me as the ones to focus on. I think that would be important. I agree with what's been said about the zero waste, and I like as we just for discussion purpose, I do like Titus, and I think it's good to have that visibility. And even though it says half town on Mondays and Thursdays, the other half of town on Tuesdays, Friday, and then that pickup on Wednesday. If there's something that's missed, if there's those complaints that come in, I think having that presence and being able to see and having folks assigned to that route, then they know that, hey, Poolesville, this is our stop, and they're in here every day during the week. So I think that's a really plus from my perspective.
Be here every day, week. And actually, I think it's a bit of a minus to have trash trucks running up and down our streets every single day. But I understand that if there is I'm not there yet. I do like the idea of still like 2 trash pickups a week, especially since the money is not that much of a difference. And I also think that we're definitely going to have, in order to make this work, like push us into the next millennial of trash pickup, that again, we have to have the education component. We're going to need to, there's going to be enough education component to go back to dual stream anyway. And I really want, if we're going to make that move, we really have to make sure that we make it effective. And then we do have to sit there and take our next move, which is really to get our residents to use less trash and recycle more effectively, potentially compost. I mean, this is our chance to. Yeah, this is our chance to do something big if we do it right. And I think that, to me, the only decisions tonight, which will help potentially point us in a direction, will be that I'd still like to see us stick with 2 days of trash pickup a week. I'm not afraid to talk about changing in the future on that. And then I think we can all say we're in agreement about dual stream. And I think that's the only decision we need to make tonight on that, if we need to, except for if we get into, once we talk about picking an actual vendor, what do we do with Bates in between that time, or how do we set up our transfer transition? So.
Can you give us some clarity on what the contract is in terms of, is there anything written into the contract about the end of their term that we should be aware of?
There is. So with Bates, there's a termination clause with it, and it can be with cause. We would definitely consult with Jay. We can run him to the end of the term, which is June 30, because there's an operational setup time that a new company would need. But these are questions I could definitely get the answers to. That's what I was hoping to get more stuff like that out. And maybe even if the 5-day-a-week thing, we could certainly reach out to some of the providers that have that as an option and say, can we lessen that somehow, or
Do you know if, does Titus deliver the dual stream? Do they deliver it to Montgomery County?
Yes.
They do? Okay, so that's a plus in my opinion. And a while back, we had Titus Trash and we switched. Do you remember why?
Yeah, it was the price was a big. Actually, it was $500,000 because it was $100,000 per year for a 5-year contract. No.
All agree tonight on dual stream, it sounds like. Is that something everybody's on board with? Okay, that's a good step.
Without that, because I realize that if we dumb this down to dual stream and twice a week pickup, that really limits our options in terms of who our provider will be. I'd like to say that we can reasonably say there's a consensus towards twice a week and dual stream, and then let Wade and Niles have further contract negotiations and discussions to make sure that we can line ourselves up. Is that fair? And also talk about the potential transition, if we are indeed transitioning away from Bates, to have that conversation, because they can provide this still, a version of it, so.
And Jay's actually watching. He was doing the Zoom, and the Zoom actually kept locking up, so, but he's on text if we wanted to ask him something, but I'll get that information.
The staff is okay, we have a consensus on those two directions.
Yeah.
I just want us to still consider one pickup a week. I don't think, I think that sometimes we need a little push to move in the right direction. And if I know that I'm consistently filling my trash up every week and it's only been picked up and it's like overflowing, then I'm like, oh man, what changes do I need to make so that I don't keep filling this up more than once a week? And I think it provides some positive incentive. And I think it's also okay for us to say this makes sense. This is more financially prudent for us as a town to do once a week. It saves us all money. And we're going to help provide some education and resources to help get us all there so that it's not painful, but so that it does help us make that change.
Clear. My suggestion is that we have town staff consult with maybe the eventual vendors to make sure that, say, 2 years in, that if we raise the idea of transitioning to once a week pickup, that they will consider either holding the line on that number, or, I don't want to reopen the box and then say, oh, yeah, by the way, we need to raise all the prices if we're doing that. But I'd like to see if town staff can do that. I don't think there's enough consensus here. You did a good job, but I'm sure, yeah, I'm going to negate your opinion on that, and then it depends on the rest of the guys. So,
I'm okay as long as that's the direction we are all moving in.
yeah,
I think.
yeah, fair
You
enough.
know, I'm not opposed to that, Sarah. Like, if we had a contractor that, like, you know, the price was right, they could do it, and they got the good reviews, but, you know, I'm just looking like it's kind of, to me at least, it looks like a very narrow window of, like, looks like one person
Yeah.
possibly, one vendor, but, you know, let's see what these guys come back with, maybe,
Okay.
you know.
And I like having trucks not on the roads every day. You know, I think that there's some. Yeah.
A quick question, Wade, do the trash companies provide the extra bins?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
yes, for the recycle, you mean, yes.
There's going to be a transition time period for that too, and that's something that we'll have to, again, town staff's going to, if we signal a direction here, they're going to be having to work on that to assure that the transitions are proper before we actually make that obligation. So you guys can do that. Anything else you need from us, town staff?
That's it, this is perfect.
Okay, very good. Sarah, thanks for your 2 cents. Appreciate it, and everybody else as well as your conversation. This is a big contract, obviously, and I don't think we've heard more complaints about anything else over the last few years than we have when we were talking about this. So it'll be nice to hopefully get it straight and have town staff be less burdened with having to deal with what goes on here. So appreciate that, all the background, gentlemen, information, et cetera. That's it for new business. Town manager's report.
Okay, so as we talked about before, you had your proposed budget in front of you tonight for the FY '24. And Saturday, we're supposed to have our scheduled work session at 9 a.m. right here. And I'm kind of lay out a kind of a schedule of what we need to do as far as public presentations. I'll be making it available to the public on Monday, the 13th. On March 20th, we will set a public hearing for April 3rd, and we'll set the adoption for May 1st. So that's all in line with our charter as well as what we need to do to get our tax rate to the county, so they can process it.
How have the numbers been filled in since the last time we met, in terms of the variables that were out there? I know trash is one of them, but what else?
Trash is certainly one.
Income?
There's been several. Actually, the projections for FY '23 were up considerably, so that made things a little bit easier to balance out. Obviously, the several budget amendments been made over the last couple meetings have been part of that. Also, as far as reducing our unrestricted reserves down, we are still within the 17% that we have set, so it's over 700,000 still, 748,000, whatever it is. So we're still fine as far as that goes. The draft proposed budget is with the constant tax rate, and no water and sewer increases on the horizon either.
Hurrah from all the bazillions of people watching on YouTube right now. So we'll see if we don't mess that up
All
when we meet.
14 of them.
Yeah, all 14. Right, great. Well, spread the word, you 14. Go ahead.
May 1st.
Okay, very good, sir.
Parks Department, Preston and his guys have been busy prepping the ball fields. They converted a couple over to different, for the softballs and different things. They've been mulching. Spring season for all the parks are going to open up March 15th, so, you know, guys have been doing all the permits, and they'll be filled up and going on March 15th. We've been working with MD and Kathy Mim and everybody on the PFAS remediation. Things are moving forward there. We're hoping that by sometime in May, we can get the filters on well number 3 and get that going. So it's a little lag time in getting things going, but it's moving in the right direction. That's all I have. Any questions from me? AEDs, we could talk about that for a second real quick. So, okay.
Yeah, and maybe you already asked this question, because the filters from was it granulated activated charcoal, right?
Yes.
So, do you know if that's already been implemented in any other jurisdictions that have detected PFAS in their water?
Several. Other states, not necessarily Maryland. Maryland's a couple of years behind. I've been in contact with people in Connecticut, New Hampshire, Colorado, just to talk about the treatments, to try getting data from them also. But yeah, it's funny that Maryland actually, they're usually kind of a leader in this type of thing. They are behind a couple of years.
But the other areas, whether it's in Maryland or somewhere else, has it been successful in either eliminating or reducing?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's good, okay.
And then the other product is it's called Dextrode, and it's a corn product, and we're going to be using that on well number 2 as a test pilot. We'll be pumping into the system. It's a much smaller unit, and it's just going to do like 10 gallons per minute or whatever, going through the filters for a kind of a benchtop analysis to see how it works with our water quality data and when we get breakthroughs. But it looks pretty promising also, so we may end up, the vessels that we looked at, the vessels will be the same, it's the media really that we're testing.
And one other thing, I think you already clarified this for me because I was a little bit unclear about it. So even when I'll call it the filter, right? It sounds like, I use the word filter, it sounds like a furnace filter you slide in there. It's quite, not quite that, it's a whole building. But anyway, when the filter is online on well number 3, then the water from well number 3 will just go down the drain, a drain, not be put into the Poolsville system, right?
Initially, when we do the startup, you'll be backwashing, you have to go through a couple cycles, and then we're going to take a raw sample, and then we'll take a sample and a port between the lead and lag filters, and then at the point of entry after the lag filter. Once we get those results back from the lab, which probably takes about a month, and we know that they're good, everything's working fine, then we can put it into the system, and we do at least monthly, maybe more testing at first, to make sure that, there's not a breakthrough between the lead and lag and anything like that.
Okay, because somehow I got, I got the picture, well, maybe I got the picture wrong twice, that as soon as the filter was plugged in, that the water was going to go right back into the Poolsville system.
No, now you've got to prove that it's removing it before we do
All right,
that,
well,
absolutely.
So, and what is your anticipation in terms of the duration of the tests before you can determine that it's safe to put the water back into the Poolsville system?
As soon as we get the lab test back,
Okay, so a month or so?
about a month, yeah.
Okay, swell. Because I think in the original write-up, as I remember it, it was a 6 months,
So we are
test.
going to, yeah, we're running for 6 months. That's still part of the test. Before we set it up permanently and build a structure and everything, MDE needs this data to say, yes, it works for this long. And we want it also because the other product may last a whole year, 12, whatever. This will only last 6 months.
Yeah.
Very expensive for the change out. So it's the data, analytical data is what we need to collect either
Okay.
way.
Great, thank you very much. Yes, and if you have any new updates on AEDs, that'd be welcome.
Yeah, so we did reach out to a company that the seniors actually talked to. I think that they're going to do some training with them, but they said they would definitely have exact type that we need that are outdoor units. They're heated, they have alarms on them, have tamper resistant, all this good stuff. So we just started preliminary discussions with them, and we're going to follow up by next week and find out, exactly what's going to cost, what grants are available, and so on. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, okay, all right, we'll see. My microphone's on. Listen, you guys, town staff, thanks a lot for that. We appreciate that. Kathy, presentation, excellent, good, Sustainable Poolsville, appreciate you being there. Nicholas, thank you so much for doing what you did prior to the meeting. We appreciate any information you give us. Jerry, your commentary, while occasional, always welcome. And last but not least, gents, introduce yourself. I know you're here for a reason, and you stayed through the entire meeting, and it's 5 after 9. I can hear your stomach growling from here. Tell us who you are and why you're here. Excellent. We hopefully we appreciate you staying awake and listening to it. Martin, you have something?
No, I was just gonna, if we're all done, I was gonna make a motion, we adjourn.
And I'll second your motion.
Motion been made. Second. Motion by Martin. Second by Ed. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.